In the language area, the children begin to learn the proper names of everything in the environment, just like you do in school. And Montessori calls these, or just like you do at home, Montessori calls these lessons enrichment to vocabulary. So we have a lot of little card sets. This one has to do with things related to the kitchen. And the children will get out the sets of cards and they look at each one and they find the ones that look just the same. And this is something that covers your clothes in the kitchen so you don't get splattered, and it's called an apron. Oh, I have an apron at school, at home. Oh, we wear those. And this part of the little dust brush is called the dustpan. And they might go around and find them in the classroom. So we have many categories of classified cards like this. So it's just one sort of a subject area, but it's all sorts of things within that. They could be flowers, they could be things that you find in a grocery store, they could be types of animals, they could be any types of things like that. And the children really enjoy it and learning the vocabulary. Another enrichment to vocabulary and pre-literacy is learning little rhymes and poems, and always telling stories as well as reading stories. So the children are coming home with lots of little songs and rhymes that they're learning, and we try and introduce poetry too at this age. It just enriches their vocabulary and it develops that like rich literacy that's coming up for them when they become readers. So two of the things that are the most important things that are different about Montessori is that we teach the sound that the letter makes in conjunction with the name of the letter. So this is the letter C, and it's a sandpaper letter on a little board, and the children learn to trace it. It sounds like K. This is the letter M, and it sounds like and this is the first lesson the 3-year-olds are having to introduce them to the sound and what that sound looks like. Ah. And t. And one more thing I'm going to bring over that I didn't get to show is that in addition to the printed letters, side by side we learn cursive letters. So these are much easier for the children to learn how to trace because they're so fluid. And when you're learning how to write, it flows. They're taking cursive away in a lot of the public schools. Handwriting is very important. Cognitively in brain development, when you're handwriting cursive letters joined together, it makes a word. You're actually building a word. It's an easier thought process than these ball and stick letters, but we'll learn them all. Once the children starts to learn sounds, we'll play a game and we'll have a little basket of toys. Here's a man. Here's a cake. We could do this with picture cards too. Here's a little ant and a turkey. And so the children, after they've traced the letters, they're going to go ahead and match the initial sound to the toy. Man, cake, ant, turkey. Now, I said there were 2 things that were most important and different in Montessori. The second thing is that in Montessori, writing comes first and then reading. Usually follows in about 6 months. Once the children learn their letter sounds, they can use little cutout letters, they're called the movable alphabet, to build their own words. They can write an together. We also teach the vowel sounds by themselves for a while because they're hardest to hear in the center of a word and they sound most alike. So it's easier to learn a whole set of vowels and one vowel sound first. So because writing comes before reading, if you notice our puzzle maps, Some of our sensorial equipment have these little knobs. So children are going to be picking them up using the pincer muscles. All of this kind of thing, along with sorting, threading beads, is all really, really good for that finger dexterity, developing that pincer grip that you're going to be using for writing. One of the first writing lessons that the children are doing is going to be a metal inset. And so it's like a stencil. The children are going to trace around the outside of the circle, and then we trace on the inside of the circle, and then the outside, which is tricky. And then with a third color pencil, they'll start to color it in. Up and down, left to right, just like when you're writing words. So this is a really beautiful exercise, and it helps the children when they're beginning to learn how to write. The language and math curriculum are very involved. There are so many lessons. These are initial lessons that the children are having, and they will build on them. We will go into grammar. The children start reading little reader books that they can sound out on their own to help them practice read. And every day they hear oral stories and they hear literature books. Today we read Butterfly Tree, and it talks about the migration of monarch butterflies. Beautiful illustrations, beautiful words. And so these are all helpful for the children to start. We'll be making other videos that will show you particular lessons of how the children are writing and learning grammar lessons while they're becoming writers. And so the next thing I'll be showing you are some of the math